What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Talking Markets. My name is Trevor. I'm here joined with Brian. Brian, how's it going today?
Going well, going well. We're
Yeah,
in May now somehow. It's crazy how fast this year is flying by, and we've got all sorts of Fed news to talk about. So,
yeah, we have some mayhem to talk
we
about
mayhem
right now.
indeed, absolutely.
Yeah. So first things first, let's talk about the Fed announcing what actually could be their last rate hike this year. So this came in yesterday. The rate hike has increased by 25 basis points and is now at a range of 5 to 5.25%. So overall, I think maybe short term bearish because it's this increase, but maybe long term bullish, obviously, because they're thinking that this could be the last rate hike for the year. Also, one thing to mention as well is that the non farm data for job openings came in at 9.5 million, and it's actually been overall decreasing as well, with seems to be the rate hikes. So this could be a bullish factor considering that I know that Powell said that he was going to, at least pause or stop rate hiking in the future if he saw a decrease in jobs and he saw a decrease or an increase in unemployment. And seeing this number go down could be a bullish sign for Wall Street investors. Another thing to also mention is that there's a lot of banks in the US having issues right now, actually. Um, so PacWest is the latest. I know First Republic also was a recent one. I believe PacWest is a LA-based bank, and it looks like they have paused trading on most brokerages as well. And yeah, so they're talking about different options as well, which basically means maybe they're looking for bankruptcy or a buyer immediately. So what's interesting too is that their stocks have plunged 70% in the past month. So it's really not looking good for PacWest. It's not looking good for First Republic, and various other regional banks right now in the U.S. are having seems like a lot of issues. Next thing I wanted to talk about is this. So Wall Street Bets mod dumps meme coin on investors that was worth $635,000 in an alleged rug pull. So it looks like one of the mods of the Wall Street Bets subreddit, which for those of you who don't know, Wall Street Bets subreddit is basically a place for investors and stock investors, but more on the side of degenerates and risking their life savings on options and different things like that. And yeah. So, anyways, this happened just today. And what's interesting too is that on Wall Street Bets, they seem to be very anti crypto. And the fact that one of the mods, came on, created just a coin and just rugged a large community of, over $500,000 is quite sad to see. So, yeah, that was one thing that happened today. Also, Curve Finance has also deployed a decentralized stablecoin on Ethereum. So CRV USD has actually just been issued. So this is also bullish news to the Curve finance community as well. Brian, what do you have today?
Thanks for sharing these, Trevor. I think it's interesting, especially what's going on with the job market right now and how it's kind of
Yeah.
plummeted since the start of the year. I think a lot of people felt that it was highly encouraging to see that jobs were just exploding the way they were, and at least here in the U.S., or especially in California, we've been hearing that that's kind of going to be the new normal, and it's helping with inflation, especially with the Fed interest rate hikes going up 5% now in the past 14 months, which is pretty staggering. Um, but yet, we'll see if it continues. I mean, it's still far above where it was during the pandemic or the main
Right.
heyday of the pandemic. So I
Right.
think that I think that right now our hope is for jobs to stay where they're at and not go any lower, and for the Fed rates to kind of stop jumping up the way that they have been for the last 14 months. This a lot of people are
Yeah.
speculating this was the last of them for the rest of the year. We'll see if that's actually
Yeah,
true.
and I saw there was some analysts thinking that, the number would go back down to 2008 levels, but I think since 2008 we've added like, 20 million people to the population. So that would be just absolutely devastating, I think, if that actually happened,
Mm-hmm.
if it went that low, right? So
100%. And let's take a look at how the actual crypto returns have been doing as of late. We see that the prices for Bitcoin, Ethereum, they're essentially even over the past week. Hex is really the big winner here, alongside Rocket Pool. Uh, Internet Computer here also doing well. But overall, we can see that altcoins are bleeding quite a bit, especially as we go down the line more and more, with Lido DAO being down 8%, VeChain down 7%, Radix 21% drop, Immutable X 12%. These two were big gainers uh, earlier in April, and they're kind of correcting now. So it does look like prices have been hurt a little. Bitcoin dominance is still high on the price side compared to altcoins right now. And then you can also see that social volume now compared to a week ago, it's continuing to decline with less and less discussion going on. And that's a concern. We'd much rather see a lot of increase in discussion as we go into May here, now within 1 year of the halving. So there's things positive to talk about that just aren't being talked about yet. And we released an article yesterday about how there was a big pump, not big, but a mild pump in a short period of time, 2.1% increase for Bitcoin in just the 4 to 6 hours after the interest rate hike was made. And we talked a little bit about how the correlation seems to be a little less than what it has been in quite a while. You can see Bitcoin in green, S&P 500 in teal. The big separation, of course, happening in November. And then you can see they kind of climb together. Big drop here in the S&P 500 in late April while Bitcoin actually rose. And then you can see how the S&P got hurt by the Fed interest rate decision, while Bitcoin really didn't, and actually afterwards had a slight climb. So that's good to see, because pumps in crypto generally happen when they have the least amount of reliance on equities and other sectors. Also, check this out. You can see the trading volumes right after the announcement, which is marked by these black lines here. Volumes went up for essentially all of the large cap assets right after, and you can see the price of Bitcoin here in white and what it did afterwards. And I think there was kind of a sense from traders where, you know, the interest rate hike wasn't ideal, but it was essentially expected, with about 80% probability of happening in the days going up to it. So it wasn't a major surprise, and it was almost kind of just crypto traders exhaling and saying, I don't have to deal with any crazy curveballs thrown by the Fed. It was what was expected, and now we're at least a month away from any further decisions that can impact world economies and potentially crypto. So that's definitely interesting. You can also see how active addresses really soared. This is just the FOMC day compared to the 3 to 4 days prior to it, and the amount of unique addresses were definitely partaking in some increased trading and movement. Also, the whales here, sharks and whales, I should say. Tether is still moving up in terms of the amount moving into shark and whale bags. USDC also looking good as it continues to recover from the panic sell-offs that were happening back in March. BUSD also moving up, and DAI also moving up. So the top four all look really good. It does appear that more and more buying power is going into these large address holder bags right now. The only two to be concerned about are TrueUSD and USDP, which are the fifth and sixth largest stablecoins by market cap. So their impact isn't as great, but if you do want to look at a negative, those are the two that aren't seeing as much accumulation and actually seeing some dumping from these sharks and whales. And then finally, of course, Bitcoin's sharks and whales, they're basically holding serve right now. They're not really moving up or down at the moment. We saw an encouraging rebound here in the third week of April, and then it's just kind of stagnated since. So really not much to be too excited or concerned about from the Bitcoin side. But I do like to see that, stable coins are continuing to show promise, that there's more and more you know, being loaded up in the chamber for sharks and whales to strike and potentially push up Bitcoin when the time permits for them.
What's interesting about BUSD is didn't they pause minting any more BUSD? I'm surprised people are actively trading into it, right?
Yeah, I mean, we can investigate that right now. I've heard about the pause, but I'm not positive if it's confirmed or not. I'm sure others may already know. But if we look at, just take off everything but BUSD here. So if we go to, we're at percentage here. If we also go to 100K to 10 million absolute held, yeah, it looks wildly different. You're right. And that's got to be because there's a pause going on. I see that the percentage of BUSD has just steadily increased over the past couple of months or a month and a half or so. Well, there was just this massive jump from 673 to 788K held about 2 weeks ago. And that's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, because I see Paxos Trust Company, the firm that mints Binance stablecoin BUSD, ended its relationship, and so they stopped issuing the stablecoin on February 21st.
Hmm.
So that's why I'm surprised that people are still, actively using it.
Yeah, I mean, it still has value. If arguably,
Right.
if there's no more coins being minted, it actually can increase the value and
Could be more
importance of
bullish,
those
right?
coins. Yeah, because there's a
Yeah,
limited supply now that, whatever has been created is the only coins that will ever be able to
right.
be held. So as long as Binance is doing well, I don't expect that BUSD will ever have no value. But it's kind of up to the crowd in terms of what they believe in terms of its value, especially because native exchange tokens have taken quite a hit in reputation after the FTX collapse 6 months ago with FTT.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
But anyhow, yeah, I think that's a good segment for today. I hope everyone enjoyed. And as always, Trevor, I love to hear your insights and updates about the news and happenings in the markets.
Yeah, yeah. So, anyways, tune in for next week for the next Talking Markets video.
Love it.
All right, Brian. See you later.
Take care, guys. Bye bye.